How's it going, guys? Dylan from Luxury lives on, and I hope everyone's doing well today. Today I'm in front of, well, a wonderful red wedge of the 80s, the Ferrari Testarossa. The interesting thing is it was designed in such an extreme way that it resembled more the flamboyance of a Lamborghini, which is why this Ferrari is so interesting. Now, this is part of a new video and a new direction that I'm going in. I've done videos like this in the past, but basically what interests me is, well, not reviewing the cars, telling you how many children you can fit in them, but telling you their stories, because, well, no one else is. Now, guys, one thing you have to know is I've always been a Ferrari fanboy from the beginning. You see, even growing up, I would argue with my friends and even people on the internet I've never met that swore to me that Lamborghini was simply the best. Now, although I always argued with them, I always knew at the back of my head that my beloved brand just wasn't as flamboyant as I wish they could be. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't expect Ferraris to now suddenly have scissor doors, but maybe just an extra vent or two. You see, there's one problem with this wish. It just isn't Ferrari. Before Ferraris of today started looking like concepts designed by 19-year-old art students, well, they were curvaceous red, and above all, they were not Lamborghinis. Alright guys, so for this next segment, I was planning on actually sitting in my dream car and talking to you, but you see, there's one problem with that. I don't really fit. That's a dream crusher. All right, so for this take, I guess I'm just gonna sit on the door sill. Now, Ferraris were never bedroom wall posters. Lamborghinis were. Which brings me to this car's greatest rival, the Countach. Now, these two companies may have been annoyed by each other's existences, probably Ferrari more, but just as, well, the Celtics did to the Lakers and McEnroe did for Connors, well, they made each other better. Now, the great thing about Ferrari and Lamborghini is they were always yin and yang. They were different. They held the market in their own ways. Ferraris could drive and Lamborghinis looked cool. Which is why it was so funny when we suddenly saw the drastic design change of the Testarossa. It looked like a Lamborghini, and let's be honest, it had to have been influenced from, one, the Countach, and second, let's not forget the 80s. Ferrari was feeling the pressure from Lamborghini, and they wanted to bring more consumers to the brand, so they decided to design a car in a now, well, excessive and geometric world. The Testarossa turned its traditional quad Ferrari taillights and switched them for vents. It took ordinary doors and added vents. And you're damn right, it had pop-up headlights. The design of the Testarossa might as well have been compared to that of a red skateboard ramp. That's exactly what made it so exciting. It finally allowed Ferrari fanboys to dream again. Now, although this car never looked like a Ferrari, it got its name from something that had always defined them, their V12. Testarossa meaning redhead, but don't get me wrong, this thing was no ginger. No, you see, the heads were painted bright red, but more like the red wig of a woman you can't quite put your finger on. Alright guys, so I've told you the story of the Ferrari Testarossa, but now let's walk around the specific one that's for sale. Now, it's a 1990, it's, well, in Ferrari Rosa Corsa red, which is the cliche color that everyone wants, let's be honest. Surprisingly, or not so surprisingly for a Ferrari, it's got absolutely no miles. Call it 870, and I mean, it's basically showroom new. You have had the major service done, it's got new tires, and well, it's just so extreme looking. It's, of course, as I said, one of my dream cars, and as you can tell, it was very much, well, influenced by its era. It's angular, it's square, it's 80s, and you see that, of course, with the pop-up headlights, which are immature and everyone wants. As I said, you have vents everywhere instead of doors. Instead of the traditional quad taillights that you would have had on a Ferrari, you have, well, more vents. You have the 5-spoke wheels here, which are honestly a derivative off of many Ferraris, specifically, well, the Enzo, the F50, the F40, all had that DNA. In addition to that, I really like these mirrors. This almost looks like, well, new cars today that have it for, well, the wind to cut through, but I don't know how aerodynamic this thing is, considering, well, that its competitor, the Countach, was said to be about as aerodynamic as a brick. Now, let's go into the interior, which something really cool is you can't see the door handle, which I think all supercars should have today. It's an ugly thing, along with mirrors usually, honestly. Now the interior, on the other hand, is quite subtle. It's black, and I prefer it because, I don't know, the tan is kind of cliche in a bad way. I just don't like it usually. Now, I'm a massive oaf, as I said, so I'm going to jam myself in here. Luckily you couldn't see that. But it's a very simple and, again, geometric interior. It's very, very nice. It's got the, well, black pool ball shifter that you would have in the early Ferraris, 5-speed. And one of the things I love about it, which kind of reminds me of the arcade games you guys may be familiar with, like the 90s, early 2000s arcade games, is these tacks. Check this out. It is so cool. They just look like the font's just ready to race. And, well, it's just such a cool car. Oh, look, you can see the vents here, which is just awesome, too. Oh, God, thank God you didn't get to see that. And then look how the vents join together. And, of course, you have that large thud sound from these older cars, which I love so much. Now, as we go towards the back, you see a giant hump, and the reason being is to fit that giant V12 in the bonnet, and, well, I'll show you that right now. Now, this red-headed V12 was close to 5 liters. It produced 400 horsepower. It got the car from 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds and propelled it to 180 miles an hour. Now, that's a Ferrari. I love this car because, well, it was one of the first times Ferrari gave us an excuse to put one of their cars on our bedroom wall. So here's to the Ferrari Lamborghini. Alright guys, so that is it. The story of the Ferrari Testarossa, a wonderful red slice of the 80s. But I have to thank Symbolic International for making a little boy's dream come true because, well, this is my dream car. Actually, I couldn't fit in it, so never mind, it's a nightmare. But they are always so kind, so check them out in the description below, especially if you're interested in this amazing, immaculate Testarossa. Guys, if you want to follow me on more things, I'm of course on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you want to see what type of equipment I use, check the Amazon links below. Guys, if you like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more of my content, please do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Peace!